Ron Perlman. Unless you're Brad Pitt or George Clooney, most actors can't pick their roles. At a splendid 75 years of age, he still embodies intimidating action heroes. But as he demonstrates in the Spanish film Why No Quedan Jungles, translated as There Are No Jungles Left, he doesn't need to wear masks anymore. The intense gaze, the pronounced jaw, the 2 wrinkles on his forehead. It's impossible to look away when you're face to face with Ron Perlman. Because of the respect that the 75-year-old New York-born actor inspires, and because of everything he evokes. He has spent decades playing outsiders, thugs, and tough action heroes, like the vigilante demon in the Hellboy saga, or the hunchback Salvatore in The Name of the Rose, 1986. Today, he returns with Why No Quedan Junglas, 2025, a Spanish-language film translated as There Are No Jungles Left. Directed by Luis Gabriel Beristain, Perlman plays the role of Theo, an aging American soldier living in San Sebastian, in Spain's northern Basque region. Upon losing his only friend, the protagonist ends up embroiled in a bloody tale of revenge. The film is tailor-made for an expert in crazed roles. We love revenge stories because we're all always looking for immediate justice, which doesn't exist in reality. We root for my character because he does things we'd like to do ourselves. He reflects from his home in Los Angeles. Perlman has a distant gaze while he speaks. His tone is serious and direct. His convincing, even intimidating. Suddenly, he's interrupted by barking. He stands up and, for the first time in the interview, drags his 6'6" frame out of the room. "Silence," he shouts, and the barking ends. No one dares to resume the conversation, but against all odds, he comes back into the room, laughing his head off. "Seems to have worked. They never listen to me," he jokes. When he smiles, the real Perlman emerges. Even past retirement age, he's a man who remains dedicated to one of his favorite genres, action. In There Are No Jungles Left, which premiered in Spain on September 26, he's repeatedly hit, punched, and stabbed. He's even set on fire. The character endures stoically, but the actor admits that these highly physical sequences have become increasingly difficult for him. When an action scene begins, he resigns himself to prayer, trying not to think about everything that could go wrong. Age, on the other hand, also helps. The only good thing about getting older is that you finally don't give a shit what people think about you. You can go through the most embarrassing experience of your life. You can even shit yourself, and you won't care. There's something sexy about that attitude. And now, I'm getting roles that reflect it. He shrugs. Aside from a brazen and somewhat formal confidence, these characters also share a single face, his own. For any actor, this might be obvious, but for Perlman, it's the achievement of a lifetime. His early roles, and some of the ones that he's best known for, were distinguished by his unusual ability to transform into all kinds of creatures: cavemen, vampires, beasts, and demons. Few actors have played such a large number of characters that were built using prosthetics and makeup. All those characters spoke of wanting to be part of a world that despises you. Exactly what I would have liked to hear when I was a 6-year-old locked in a room thinking I was a freaking Quasimodo, he recalls. We love revenge stories because we're all always looking for immediate justice, which doesn't exist in reality. We root for my character because he does things we'd like to do ourselves. That bedroom was very small. He shared it with his brother in an apartment in the Washington Heights neighborhood of New York City. And that little boy preferred to stay there rather than go outside. He feared being picked on because he was either too fat or too weird. Salvation came in the form of a black and white television that was barely 12 inches wide. At the age of 8, he saw Charles Laughton's Quasimodo in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, 1939, and he wasn't afraid. In fact, he thought the movie was beautiful. By his side was his father. If anyone taught me to love cinema, it was him, even though he never received any kind of education. He was a worker who never earned much money. He worked his ass off for 10 hours a day. At night, we always watched classic films together. But mostly, I watched him and saw the effect they had on his body. The burden he carried during the day disappeared and was transformed into laughter, even tears. Captivated by that which transformed horrendousness into beauty and exhaustion into fun, young Ron grew up convinced that he wanted to make a living as an actor. He spent his 20s working on Broadway. And at the age of 30, he got the opportunity to make the leap into the film world. At that time, one of his first agents confronted him with a prophecy that would haunt him for the rest of his life. He had the physique of a 50-year-old. Until he turned 50, his time would never come. I hated him for telling me that. I didn't want to wait 20 years to be able to pay the rent. But the son of a bitch was right. At first, I got great roles, but they were few and far between. It took a long time for me to make it. I went 4 years without working. During that time, the universe seemed to be telling me that I was worthless. It was a nightmare and, above all, a financial disaster. It took years of therapy to turn all that frustration into something positive. The actor admits today, however, that prophecy had an exception. What if he played men from other ages, or from other eras? In his first film, Quest for Fire, 1981, directed by Jean-Jacques Annaud, he played a Neanderthal from 400,000 years ago. The story recreated the struggle that different prehistoric tribes went through to master fire. We didn't wear shoes, and we were almost naked. And we started shooting at the end of November in the Scottish Highlands. I think it was the hardest way to start a career. But from then on, I learned one thing. Every time my agent got an offer, I asked him, "Am I wearing shoes in this one?" He obviously said yes. And so I thought, it can't be that bad. Slowly, roles began to appear, such as Salvatore, the blasphemous hunchback in The Name of the Rose, 1986, also directed by Annaud. In that film, his face and body were completely covered, becoming the perfect canvas. All those masks freed me to act without fear. Without that barrier between me and the camera, I don't know if I would have been able to be as expressive, he reflects. We filmed in San Sebastian, probably the city with the most Michelin stars per capita in the world. But whenever I had 2 days off, I'd go to Seville, Madrid, Asturias, or Bilbao. Every day, we had a new gastronomic experience. And the wines. I thought I liked Rioja until I tried Ribeiro. With his portrayal of the lion-like heartthrob of the Beauty and the Beast TV series, 1987 to 1990, a delirious adaptation of the old French tale, things began to turn around for Perlman. He won a Golden Globe and, as he recounts in Easy Street, 2015, his autobiography, a magazine named him Sexiest Man of the Year, Beast makeup included. That performance, above all, began to bolster his prestige as an idol and muse of fantasy cinema that remains with him to this day. The flaws I thought were monstrous as a child ended up becoming virtues. The greatest reward of my career is that all my inner turmoil became fuel for my